Planes, trains, and automobiles, along with
Planes, trains, and
coffee.
automobiles. This is what's up. I'm Jericho Woggon. This is Aaron Riggs. It's early morning, California time, 7:27 a.m. And let's see here. It is August 12th, I believe, and this is episode 91 of Coffee with the Summerland Kids. And it's currently 62 degrees in Summerland with a high of 77. Another beautiful day in the California neighborhood. Here we go. Rock and roll. I'm on the train.
Nice.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah, I made my destination, to get on the train early in the morning. Woke up like 5 and walked over to Union Station, which is super convenient from downtown LA. And one of my friends took me through yesterday a few of the beautiful new subway stations. I'll send you some pictures. They're freaking amazing. Like huge pieces of art, and you never know like where you're going. From Chinatown, you can get a train that takes you up to the more or less like Bunker Hill, I think they call it, where the Broad Museum and the MoCA are. And so there's basically like a museum drop off at the on the subway, and then it takes you up into this incredible like cavernous, amazing space. It's like they dug a giant hole in the ground and then put an elevator in it and art in there, and then you pop up and you're behind the Broad Museum. I'm not sure if you've ever seen the Broad Museum, but it's freaking crazy cool architecture. And downtown LA definitely has the high highs and the low lows look and feel of downtown Los Angeles. It's
the subways are new then, huh?
Yeah, a lot of new. I want to say, if I had to guess, I'd say 20 years of some basic trains. Like there was one, for example, that from downtown Los Angeles, North Hollywood. So there's a North Hollywood train. So it's pretty to be able, if you're a commuter and you had to work in North Hollywood, let's say, there's no traffic. Boom, you're out there. So super cool. And then getting around super convenient because you can jump on these little you can get a day pass. I'm not sure how much a day pass was. I think one ride was only like bucks or something. And they have like seen all kinds of different little things. You get a little, and you just tap the car.
You must be driving through a rough patch. You're starting to skip a little bit.
Oh, really? Yeah, we're headed up to Burbank, Glendale, Burbank area. So, anyways, yeah. So just make some bridges and stuff here too, because it's where we are in this Los Angeles. So, anyways.
No, that's the public transportation. It's a trip, because they got I remember when I was in the valley staying down there, there was like a few roads that kind of went through that were bus line only roads. And then I knew a few people, I kind of helped a few people out that were, I guess, homeless or whatever. And it was a thing where they would get their bus ticket and basically sleep on the bus at night. Just stay on the bus and go back and forth.
Yeah, I saw a few folks like that yesterday on the first train. Met a buddy of mine at Philippe's. I don't understand which is place. They do a breakfast in downtown together, and then we jumped on the Chinatown train, and that's the one that took us from Chinatown, and we just walked on the outside of museums and stuff, and up on the I want to say it's like classy, there's lots of the few residences and stuff like that. But when you get into downtown Los Angeles, it's pretty rough because COVID is still COVID's gone, of course. But in terms of the coming back from COVID, a lot of the businesses went under during COVID. They had to close up, and in the riots, or some sort of what would you call them, protest, George Floyd and a few other things that really took a toll on downtown. After COVID, more or less, a lot of the businesses, daily business, people that come downtown to do, they work there for the day, cafe, let's say, and they have regulars and whatnot, but they really got hammered by that. Their regular routine was, and so there was a few bar owner, and she'd been going strong. I want to say probably they might have opened in 2008 or 9, and they did more than she, split ways with open another bar, and have a long history of being like Fifth and Spring or something like that, downtown LA, main thoroughfare location. But since the population downs in terms of what's going on with the economy, or like during COVID, those businesses, so she basically closed and moved, just do really well with their businesses, but their businesses, but then they can get affected by something like COVID. Is such a curveball that threw people through a big, unexpected loop. So, like maybe a business trajectory, or if you're charting your growth of your business, like it gives you a lot of confidence that you're doing really well.
I hear all the train announcements going on in the background. That's pretty cool. They're like, next stop, Grand Central, East Park, exactly. West Park, South Park. Yeah, y'all get, yeah. Exactly. The train's always such an interesting ride, because you're not driving.
I know.
But you're going across the land, and a lot of times I'll be driving on road trips. I'll be the driver, so I don't get the time to take and look out the windows and enjoy the scenery and enjoy the passing by. But like what you were saying, the COVID thing really kind of struck a lot of businesses hard. A lot of people I know were going through some really tough times. Their businesses shutting, their jobs closing. Maybe they're not the business owner, but their employer's like, well, we're closing. We can't be open because of COVID. And just I guess America's a pretty resilient country. We did bounce back pretty good for the most part. So that's a positive result.
Yeah, and so it kind of gave them time to reflect and figure out, like that one lady, she put in a good years to, and really was a real integral part. Like it's interesting how, I mean, 10 years is a good long time. We had a gathering yesterday with a bunch of on it, comparing it to school. It's like we all went to school, even though we weren't friends. When you get together and you spend 10 years together, and then maybe that's like just a mark. But then after that much time, certain people are gonna, certain people move away, get different jobs, different. But there was a real coming together of sorts for a good, and now it's definitely changed a bit, because also sometimes people step into role playing, but real life role playing, they take on a leadership role, and then they maybe leave, so it leaves an opening for a leadership position, even though it's not like what do you call it, I guess it's just like within the arts community, mainly that's what I'm talking about, like who's so there's, I guess that the artist can follow along with who's putting together shows, and that's with that, you know. So that's how to get into shows as an artist. You got to know who's putting on the show. You know, submit your work. Like sometimes it would just be email, of course. Like, you know, send me 3 examples of your work, and then you can get approved. You just got to show up when they say to show up, and then get your work up. And here, some more announcements.
No, that's kind of a cool thing because you know you see the graffiti artists all over, but then a lot of times the business owner will hire one of these artists, you know, to do a mural, and you know, do a mural on their side wall or their back wall, and that's really a cool thing. I remember back in when we were down there when I was in LA, you know, we would do these comedy shows, and one of the shows was actually a parking lot show that, you know, was the side of a coffee shop, but they had just a real amazing mural. And like you were saying in the subway stations, you know, the big old art, you know, it's like an art installation inside of the city transportation hub or the
system
station, and that's
you
know, how do you get hired for something like that, I wonder?
You know, it's a timing thing. Like they're almost like they break ground, and then I want to say it may took years of construction, perhaps even 5 years of construction. Super serious tunneling for the subway system, because, for example, there was a cafe a long time ago in Little Tokyo, and they flattened that whole thing out. I guess it became Senior Frogs for a while. This is at First and Alameda Streets. They literally had the businesses move away. They perhaps the businesses, I'm not sure how that happened, but they turned essentially what used to be a business a subway station. So they flattened out
I know.
all those businesses.
I've listened to some of the news to where it's like, you know, they have this budget, the big plans for the underground trains or subway type transportation hub / commuter trains, and going over budget. They're going over budget in California, and I guess I hear a lot of that on the news. You know, it's good to see that some of these things are coming together. You know, I guess subways are, you know, it's kind of a big deal, a big project. You know, it doesn't clutter up the surface, and people can get here and there quickly. And that's always nice.
For sure. Yeah, I think they prepared for the Olympics. What they're really working on was getting ready for the 28th. I think that's the year. So it's, of course, what is that? 4 years from now. You know, I think thankfully they got the Arts District open. What else? The Road Museum. Okay, maybe that's the museum station, Bunker Hill Station, or something like that. So they essentially added an additional at least 3 stops in the time that I was in the Arts District. You know, a handful of new stations essentially. Because I moved down there, a lot of change and a lot of extremely large buildings actually have been built. You know, buildings that are like 20 stories tall plus. How they knock those things out, like, you know, freaking, like I said, 3 years, they can really do a lot of construction these days. Crazy, like how much transformation happened. Like in Santa Barbara, you see, you know, which is odd. I mean, they seem to like keep it on a lockdown, very restrictive on, you know, what they allow in Santa Barbara. Our old home, Los Angeles, is very like progressive. I want to say is like people submit plans, get approvals, and sometimes there's some controversy behind that because there's one member who I think he might be in jail now. I don't know what exactly happened there, but there was some crazy monies. You know, they're like, hey, we want to build these. I think we talked
Did I lose?
They're over by see that I should have knocked myself in the butt or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, the graffiti buildings. Yeah, that's wild. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
just to climb up there is one thing, but how do they get out on their? You know, what do they have? They go down, rappel down with ropes and a harness, and then to do art on top of it now. So now you're hanging off the side of a building 100 feet up or, 200 feet up in the air, dangling by a rope. And now, oh, by the way, yeah, bring all your art supplies and your paints and then, oh, yeah, make it look good. All at the same time.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, oh, yeah, and then let's throw one more thing and do it in the middle of the night without being seen or stopped. So that just, adds so many layers. I've seen the pictures of it, and I'm not sure how. I guess if the construction stopped, I mean, what can you do? I mean, a mind of its own, and I could see, okay, yeah, all this damage, but at the same time, I guess it's better than nothing. I mean, it does share the heart of the city, the mind of the city.
It adds color. Yeah. The colorful tapestry over it. I think there's some people actually have done, they call it like yarn bombing or something like that, where they basically knit stuff and then they wrap the knitting around objects. Of course, the street artists, they're just using their spray paint, and I think there is definitely a hierarchy within the spray paint community or graffiti community of everything, but like the level of artistic quality can vary. So you have someone who's maybe not the best artist, but they have big building and put their tag on there. So essentially, like they're tagging, and then there's graffiti writers that are known for writing, even with a pen or something. So
that's so interesting. There's a lot of cities out there that, the big green power boxes that are on the side of the road somewhere. A lot of the cities, will hire artists to make like a mural or a picturesque scene on those. So you'll go throughout town and there'll be a bunch of different scenes. And I think it does beautify the city. It's better than a big industrial green box. You got little scenes, little pictures, and that does brighten up the walk, the sidewalks, the streets. As far as what's legit and what's not legit, as far as who's just a random graffiti artist coming to do it, and who's a artist that was hired to do it. To me, I really, I just see, pretty art. One thing they do around here, they call it Orville rocks. So people will paint rocks, just a little rock, a stone, and they'll paint them up and they'll hide them places. And there's like a Facebook group, and people be like, oh, I found this rock, and they'll move it around, they'll hide it. It's kind of like, awesome. I don't know, in the gnome culture, I don't know if you know anyone with gnomes in the gardens, but it's kind of a joke in the gnome world is, you'll take somebody's garden gnome and put it in your yard, and they'll take one of yours, or you'll go up and you'll rearrange their gnomes. And it's just kind of fun, artsy little splash of color, in the world. I think that the world needs a little bit more vibrant colors and a little bit more time to play and enjoy life, as far as expressing the art. As far as the lettering and stuff, I do see a point of that. I mean, it does, like, I see vans or trucks, people's vans or trucks or campers or tiny homes or whatever, that rather than just being a plain old one color, they'll do vibrant colors or vibrant patterns, or even their logos. I've seen some really cool looking logos of I met these people that they did of fashion, right, which is kind of down there, but their whole van, which they were living in and traveling in, was decked out in their logo, which was like like you're saying, a graffiti lettering.
Yeah, exactly.
which was super cool.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's some of them. I'm looking at some stuff right now that's on the trains that they there's like they said that your work will last long. Tag over the specific numbering on the train has the almost like a SKU number to keep track of the cars, almost like a license. So trains have certain numbers on the side of the train for that's that what's in car number one. Maybe it's an inventory relation or something. But so the art, the lettering, and then do their art, and then pull the tape off, so that way it's still. Then their art has a better chance of retaining more lifespan. If they graffiti over the important lettering, then they're gonna remove that whole entire. So artists ideally want your work to last. So sometimes with approval, but then what happens in some cases is you'll get approved for a mural, but then someone comes along at nighttime and tags over your mural.
It's as far as being a business owner, I guess I was watching some videos about it where I think it might have been New York where, if the business owner doesn't go and take and clean up or paint over that graffiti, they'll get fined. So it's like, how annoying would that be to have to every other day, wake up and find some graffiti on there and be like, oh, we have to get some more paint and paint it over before we get a fine. As far as what the city wants displayed on there, but yeah, that's kind of a sad note. If someone takes the time to design and submit and get approved for a mural art, and then hire an artist to make the mural, and then some random person wants to just put my letters, my initials on the wall. I guess it's kind of a sad thing.
Right. And then it's like the repair. I actually did. It was once got approved to do the building, and it lasted a few years. But then some kids came along at nighttime, saying the age, and did the tagging. So I actually got hired at a paycheck or something, just a stipend, or maybe I was volunteering. Can't remember, but I fix it to make it so the original artist was maybe of course he wasn't around, so I had to find the colors and blend it in to essentially make it look like when you're standing across the street you can't tell that it got so
oh wow,
there is some maintenance involved sometimes, and then bland light beige color. Well, when this and spray walls completely like gray, like a light gray beige, just rather than having graffiti, because they'll be on like a sketch by and painting beige all the time. So it's sort of like the thrill, or let's say the artist, the thrill of getting their work up. When it's gone, they're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I should find another place to paint because this or something. So it's almost like every day the city fresh canvas to paint on, but you would ideally want your work in a day. So I think that's why one of the reasons they went up is the more critical and the more dangerous it is to get up and paint, then they'll lock.
That's fun. It makes me kind of think of like the curb art. Like I don't know if you've seen like the curb lettering, the curb numbering, and then people will sometimes just have it painted on in front of their house, their numbers, but sometimes they'll be like artistic. Whether it's their favorite sports club or a lot of times a beach scene. I guess the graffiti artists, if they want to spray paint so much, maybe they could convert some of their efforts into, doing something like that, because that way they could make a little cash on the side, and then, beautify the neighborhood, and make it easier for the postal guy,
Make some money.
Amazon guy, to deliver your packages, since your address is going to be right there on the curb. Stuff.
Yeah.
Now you're frozen, Jericho. I can hear you though.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So there's so much work. I mean, the paint companies, Krylon, when in terms of what brand of paint, when you go to that's where we used to get paint as kids. Want to paint your bicycle? Go to the hardware store. But now they have these the graffiti. They have their own brands of paint now. Graffiti art. So that's pretty amazing, because they have way more colors than available for doing the work. And some of the companies have made, I want to say, there's a lot of paint going out there and being used. There's some walls that are, but it's like I think it's a location to put your work up. And it probably doesn't require any goal, but it's always an ever-changing thing, and that's kind of cool too when you're cruising the boardwalk. Let's say there's always something, and that's kind of what's exciting about downtown Los Angeles as well, as it's always evolving and changing what art is up. So some of the stencil art's pretty amazing, because they can spray and then remove this, but it makes you can do some pretty cool sort of like, there has been books published about, of course, a lot of books about graffiti art back to like the early 70s, New York City. That I think one guy won. Shout out to Flip One. He was in New York City as a young, and he was doing some graffiti art as a kid, and some pictures of him when he was doing his work. So now he's like in his 50s, probably I would say 60 plus years old now. He's an older elder. So there's in that world, which is amazing now, that are getting up to like 5 to 10 years. They'll be 70 years old. Some of the first graffitis. So it's a crazy, cool, weird. I mean, it almost goes back to freaking like cave painting or something.
Yeah,
back in the day.
That's wild,
modern day caveman with spray paint can, a piece of. So yeah. Wow, man.
Yeah, it's it's evolved a long way, I guess. It used to be, a turf war where you put your tag up, and if someone tagged over you, that's them saying, no, this is my turf. And it's really evolved from that, into really an art form, when you're looking at what they're going through, climbing up buildings, climbing on bridges, or even, freeway overpasses, and really taking their time and making some elaborate, not just oh, this is my symbol, but like making it 3D looking, or have certain textures. It's just really evolved, and I just enjoy art in any form, I guess. I'm not going to be prejudiced whether it's a licensed art or whether it's just a random person going out there. I think I enjoy seeing all of it, as long as it's done in good taste.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same with you. It's on the train you see a lot. That's like almost of seeing a lot really fast on the train, because it's like that's for sure. So that's something, because I guess the train system, the Amtrak and the Metrolink, it's like these desolate wastelands, almost like where most people live by the train, because it came through our town. But in Los Angeles, there's walls and lots of cement. So that's the empty blank play happen, you know. So, so cheers.
Yeah, it's like you see them big long freight trains coming by, and you can tell that a lot of that art that or graffiti or whatever you want to call it has traveled miles and miles and miles across the country on them freight cars.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, the train is a traveling art show now. So, yeah. Here's another show. So I'll be driving tomorrow. But I'll on the road, so I can let you know where I'm at. And we'll jump in. So, cheers to traveling August situations.
Awesome.
Okay, man.
I'll talk to you tomorrow, brother.
Sounds good, bro. Have a great day. Cheers.